guys, it's Pittman. I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a lesson for the whole week. This week, most of your work is going to be on Google Classroom. It is going to be on that weekly work assignment. I linked it into Buzz. It may give you a document where you have to access, like you don't have access to it. If you click on the Google Classroom link and the assignment on Classroom, it's the same thing. And you already have a copy of it. So today we're going to talk about subplot. So subplot is whenever you have a story and you have a big problem going on and then there's little problems. So we have all these like side characters for a reason. So in my first class today we talked about Timon and Pumbaa and the Lion King. And so in the Lion King, your main problem is that Scar wants to control the Pride Lands. And so you have your beginning where it introduces you to Simba, and that's when he sings like just can't wait to be king, and you're introduced to like his spirit and how he gets in trouble with his dad. All of your rising actions, that includes when Mufasa is killed, that includes like him running away, that includes him meeting Timon and Pumbaa, and then your climax is when Rafiki hits him in the head and he says, remember who you are, Simba, remember. And so Simba makes the decision to go back home. And that decision is the turning point. Remember, the climax is always the turning point. Not necessarily the most exciting part, not necessarily the craziest part, the turning part where the story changes. So the story changes when Simba returns. And then you have all the following action, right? He comes back, they get in an argument, Scar almost kills Simba. Simba kills him and says, you're a murderer. And they kick him out, give him the hyenas. And then he has the Pride Land with Nala. Now, that's the main plot. Inside of the main plot, you have subplots. These are like your mini side stories. So one mini side story is Scar's pride. So as you're watching Simba in his new place with Timon and Pumbaa and they're eating bugs and all that, you have Scar ruining the Pride Lands. That's when he gives the hyenas all the food, and Simba's mom is like, Scar, we have no food, we're hungry, and Zazu's in the cage singing songs and stuff. That's a subplot. Another subplot is Timon and Pumbaa. So you have an entire arc devoted to Timon and Pumbaa, right? First, they meet Simba and they save Simba, and then like they eat bugs and they have a great time with Simba and they get in a few arguments and stuff, and then when Simba decides to return, they get scared because they're like, whoa, is he leaving us? But then they decide to go with him too, and they dance in a hula hoop and all that good stuff. So that is a subplot. So that's something that happens, like it's not huge, it's not like the main thing you're looking for, but it's a side thing. The other one is like Nala and Simba like being best friends, and then he runs away and then she comes back. That's all a subplot. And so your item today, what you're gonna do is if you go to Classroom, so say I'm in my pre-AP classroom, so I want to show you my pre-AP classroom. On Google Classroom, you can either look at the stream or look at the classroom. If you go to stream, I've assigned the check-in just because I wanted to do it early. And then I assigned the week 4 work. So click on the week 4 work on each one. So I'm going to choose Maddox because he's easy to pick on. On here, there is your weekly work. I've given you this little document right here. It says today your subplot lesson is lesson 13. That's what we're doing on this document, and you have to answer questions 1 through 4. Tomorrow, I need all of you to get a book. All of you. My kids in class are going to be reading some choice books. We're doing like a book club book. I will give you guys those options, and I've given you digital library cards so you guys all have access to any of the books that we're reading in class, because I want you to read with us. I want you to have discussions with you, but I also need you to have a book. Some of you, I might have given you a book through your coach. Some of you, I might have given you a book somewhere else, but I want you to have a book. You need to have a book that you like, preferably. And preferably not like Diary of a Wimpy Kid 1 through 12 that you read in 6th grade, okay? So on this assignment today, you are going to click on Monday subplot. It tells you what a plot is. So the plot is the main events in the story. The subplot is the additional storylines. You have a protagonist, which is the person you're rooting for. It's not always a good person. Your protagonist can be a bad person. Maleficent, prime example. Like, there's a whole movie devoted to the bad character. Then you have the antagonist, which is the one that you're rooting against. So whichever one you're like, ugh, I hate that character. If you read The Outsiders with us, that was the Socius, right? So, ways you can find the subplot is making predictions, tracing the sequence of events, or visualizing and sketching what happens in the story. So, the first thing you're going to do, identify the plot of the story. So, what is the problem of the story? If you read The Outsiders, the problem is that Ponyboy grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. He is labeled a greaser, and he is having all these problems with the Socias. The Socias are rich. They want to beat him up. They want to fight. It's like kind of like a warfare type situation. Obviously not war. Then you're going to create a timeline of events. So Maddox did this with The Outsiders. So Ponyboy gets jumped for the first time. He goes to the drive-in. He and Johnny get jumped, and somebody dies. He talks about what happens after that, and he's listed 6 events. Then he included a picture. His picture's pretty funny, guys. This picture is somebody drowning. So he posted his picture, and he said of what happens in the story. And so that is something that happens in the story when he's getting jumped. He's not really drowning in an ocean, but he's drowning in a fountain. And then the last thing you're going to do is identify one subplot that is happening in the story. So a subplot of The Outsiders could be Sandy and Soda Pop and their relationship. Soda Pop really wants to marry Sandy, and we get introduced a little bit. We never really meet Sandy, but we know that Sandy gets pregnant. You can infer that she gets pregnant, and Soda Pop is heartbroken. He writes her letters, and at the very end, he realizes things aren't necessarily meant to be. So that's what you're going to do for Monday. You're going to answer those first 4 questions. Then Tuesday and Wednesday are test days in class. However, you do not have to take the test that we are taking. So what we are going to do is we are going to be reviewing the test that we already took, and everyone has the opportunity to retake that test if you want to. Then, virtual students, I have provided a document for the virtual lit circle. So basically what I want you to do is, there's going to be a page. I clicked on this from the assignment. This is the reading notebook assignment for you guys. I expect you to have 10 days of reading and responding in this lit circle page. So what you're going to do is you're going to read your book, and each day you're going to have questions. So for example, day 1. So say I'm starting a new book. I'm starting One of Mrs. Lime. And I'm going to look at the front cover. I'm going to read for the first 20, I'm going to read 20 minutes. I highly recommend, if you are not a good reader, if you haven't been reading, read for 10 minutes, then read for 11 minutes, then read for 12. Every day, put it up 1, okay? But reading is so important, guys. I cannot tell you how many times people get in trouble because they didn't read the details or they missed out on something. Okay, so what you're going to do is day 1, you make predictions. Day 2, you're going to tell me about the main characters. Day 3, setting. There are 10 days on here. Your job is to fill all 10 days. This is worth 100 points. This does not start until Tuesday and Wednesday. You can choose to start officially in class. We are starting on Thursday. However, this is just to give you an idea. So virtual lit circle, this is not due until September 30th. But if you wait till September 30th, that's not going to fly. So each day I want you to give me page numbers, tell me how far you are in the book, and then you're going to you're going to answer these questions, okay? The rest of the week, what you're going to do is Tuesday's reading. You're going to tell me about the best book that you've ever read in your life. What made it great? If you struggle with it, if you are like, I don't like books, I hate books, you're going to tell me about a book you disliked or a story you disliked, and then tell me why did you dislike it. And if you hate reading, just tell me why. That's your job for Tuesday. That's all you have to do. No buzz, nothing, just that. Wednesday, you are going to have a book. I need you to have a book that you are reading for 10 days. I've already told you this 3 times, but now I'm telling you again. Have a book. You're going to answer these questions. Name of the book. So One of Us is Lying, maybe. Author's name, Karen McManus. Whatever your author's name is. You can read Wattpad, but I need to know what you're reading on Wattpad. Okay? Then, you're going to Google your author. So if you have a Wattpad author that's not very popular, you may have to figure it out. But you're going to tell me something about the author. So say I do Karen McManus. I'm just going to go to Google and Google Karen McManus. So I really don't know much about her. Karen M. McManus. So Karen is an American author. Just by Googling it, I can see, even just from Wikipedia, I just wrote one fact. One of his lines spent 130 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. That's crazy. I didn't know that. So I could just tell you like different facts about her. It tells her that she went to Northeastern University and College of the Holy Cross. So I can tell you that she probably has some religious background just from this, but you can go on Goodreads and find one fact about your author. The next thing you're going to do for Wednesday is give me 3 predictions on what you think is going to happen. So these do not have to be right. You don't have to be right at all, but I want you to give me 3 predictions on what you think will happen. Thursday. So we are already on to Thursday and we're 10 minutes in. So if you watch this tells you everything you're going to do for the week. Thursday. Very important. We're going to talk about symbolism. So symbolism is when you have something and it represents something else. So I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. That song, My Girl by The Temptations, is a symbol, right? He's not actually talking about sunshine on a cloudy day. He's talking about how his girlfriend makes him feel warm and safe and happy and gives him the tingles all over, okay? That's a symbol. The sunshine is a symbol. Symbols can represent things to everyone, or they can represent things to you. For example, the number 26 to me is a bad number. When I was 13, somebody killed himself on March 26. Somebody else died on June 26. That number has haunted me my entire life. So when I see the number 26, to me, that's a bad number. Now, somebody else may have that be their basketball number. It's not going to be a public symbol, the number 26, because to you that doesn't mean anything. But to me, it means something. That number scares me. Like, it's a symbol of bad luck for me. Some other people might have good numbers. 13 might be a good number. 12 might be a good number. 7 might be a good number. Not even just that, just different things. Maybe my son is 4. He loves the color red. Red could be bad things for people. So the difference between a public symbol and a personal symbol is who is feeling the results of it. So if it's a public symbol, that means that anybody could get a result from it. A black cat is a public symbol of like bad luck. A broken mirror is bad luck. We are almost upon Halloween time. That's why those ideas are coming up on me. But a personal symbol is something that means something to you. Okay? Now, I've given you a poem, which is Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. That is the poem that is included in The Outsiders. I understand if you have not read it. However, you can still relate to this. So it says, nature's first green is gold. Her heart is hue to hold. Her early leaves a flower, but only for so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. So it's saying that nature's first green is gold, meaning, I don't want to tell you the answer. However, like it's saying that in the very beginning, people are gold. People are innocent. People are optimistic. People are, nothing bad has happened to them. I look at my sons, right? Especially my 8-month-old, everything his brother just yells and yells and yells and tries to get him to laugh, and everything is just so funny, right? My 4-year-old still he doesn't understand bad in the world because nothing really bad has happened to him. He's never had to go to a funeral. None of his pets have died. He's had a great life. For the most part, of course. COVID, meh. So, you're going to answer this question. Gold in this case is a symbol of what? I already gave you that answer. And why can't the gold stay? You're going to answer that your opinion. And then if you have not read The Outsiders with us, question number 3 will not apply. But you could answer it still. This poem has a connection to The Outsiders, and you'll explain. Then, the practice for today. So today is Thursday. That's the Thursday day. So think back to the book that you're reading. So you should have a book by Thursday. By Wednesday, really, but Thursday. So I want you to think about the book that you're reading. And if you want to use a previous book you read, that's fine for this activity. I want you to think about 4 items that represent something for that book. So in One of Us is Lying, one of the main characters went through cancer as a kid. And so I could get something like a hairbrush. And a hairbrush could symbolize like the chemo and the tough time she went through, right? And in the explain part, I would explain, like, I put a hairbrush because Maeve went through cancer and she dealt with so much. And that hairbrush is a reminder of the struggle she went through because she would brush her hair and the hair would just fall out. You can think of different books. I'm going to think of like a TV show. I'm watching this crazy show called Eureka, which is really bad. It's really not good. And in it, some symbols might be like a watch because he time travels and things get messed up, right? So my item would be the watch. My symbol would be for time travel. And then I would explain why. And I have an example on here, mirror for vanity. So if my character is really full of herself, I would put the item as a mirror. My symbol would be for vanity, or she's like full of herself or cocky. And then I'll explain in that explain section. So you need to do that for 4 things. Then Friday, there is buzzwork on for lesson 15 on Friday. I think on Thursday there's some buzzwork as well. Let me just double check. I'll check buzz. Thursday there is a read it and an assess it on buzz. So all of you need to do the read it and the assess it. Then on Friday there is a read it and an assess it as well. We are starting to talk about personal narrative. So many of you last year, if you were at West, we were starting to talk about memoirs. Memoirs and personal narratives are very, very similar. You're going to, on the read it for Friday, you're going to read about what a narrative is. And then there is an assess it. So on the weekly assignment, there is a link on your weekly work. That is your assignment for that day. You're going to fill out that assessment. What is the purpose of a personal narrative, and how would you define an informal tone or informal word choice? Which of the following is not a characteristic of personal narrative? What is the context of a narrative? You're going to answer these questions. Super, super easy. Then, the last thing you're going to do, and I haven't uploaded it yet, is you need to create a list of possible personal narratives. And I will attach that as a different document. I will do it like just now. So things that we're going to do in classroom is, I wish I had my old notebooks, is we're going to take a heart. There's going to be options for my kids, but you can draw a heart. That's one way you can do it. And inside that heart, you could put things that matter to you. So I would put my sons, I would put my dogs, I would put reading. We've done this many times before in my other classes, and you just put a bunch of things that are on your mind. Then on the back, or on your digital, if you want to do it digitally, you would list a few ideas of possible personal narrative topics. So you are not writing a personal narrative. What your job is going to be is to come up with a list of ideas. So I want you to come up with a list of at least 5 ideas. So 5 personal narrative ideas. So for me, narratives I've written in the past is I wrote a narrative about breaking up with the next boyfriend. I wrote a narrative about finding out my second son was a boy. I had like major gender disappointment. I really wanted a girl. I'm not gonna say I regret feeling that way now because it was how I felt, but obviously it's not as bad now. I love having boys. You could write about different things that have happened at the school, different things that have happened at home. So you need to come up with 5 topics. I do not want your topics to be basic. I got a goldfish one time, it was great. Or I caught this football and it was great. You guys are in 8th grade. I want you to think deeper. So if football meant something to you, I want you to explain to me, why does football mean something to you? Why was one certain game? And these personal narrative topics are small topics that can be written into a story. Next week, we are going to be writing, so I want you to have that in mind. So you're going to be able to choose from those personal topics. It's going to be hard to do if you don't have a list. That's it. All I have for this week. And if you look back up at the schedule, It says brainstorming and list of possible narratives for Friday, personal narrative lesson 15, and then lit circle day 2. So if you are keeping up with your reading, we are doing 1 and 2 this week for that document. If you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I made this video for you. If you feel like you need extra help, let me know. My middle class is going to start reading a book called Dear Martin. I'm going to be uploading myself reading that book so that they have access to an audiobook. It will be highly edited, but if you are interested in reading that book with us or just listening to me read it, that is definitely an option for all of you. It is a really good book. It's similar to The Hate U Give. It's about a boy named Justice, and he deals with racial injustice and racial issues at his all-white private school. And so it's very similar to The Hate U Give, but it's from a boy's perspective, and I think it's a really, really good book. But let me know if you have any questions. Again, the weekly work assignments due this week. The personal narrative assessment, make sure you do that. Questions 1 through 4 are due on Monday. This weekly work assignments due. You do not really have very much buzzwork except Thursday and Friday. Everything else is on Google Classroom. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My phone number is 901-401-0116. That is my Google number you can reach me at. You can also reach me at apittman@wmsd.net. I hope you guys have a great week.